we will feel rich once we have those items, and we really aren't going to, because that happiness comes within us. Like, that is something that is already there, and a lot of times we are just searching for that to happen whenever we're out buying things that we don't need or buying duplicates. And then what happens is our houses are cluttered, and there's this minimalist movement. If you are practicing being a minimalist, it's because you're practicing being happy with what you already have, but also the clutter that more things bring only take your peace. And how many hours of the day or week are you spent organizing your belongings, right? And it's that instant gratification of buying something new, but then it's constantly, it's gone the next minute, 2 minutes. I think there's a stat for that too. I would love to see that, because of the, what is it, a dopamine release that it does when you buy something.
It's like shopaholic.
Yes. And that's why the 24-hour rule is an idea of wait 24 hours before you buy something. Make sure that you're really wanting it and you're not just looking for that next dopamine.
Sleep on it, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the Natural Parents Podcast, where we will cover all things faith, health, family, and wealth through a biblical perspective of putting things in life that matter most back into order. We're reminded in Matthew 6:33, where Jesus said, "But seek first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all of these things will be added unto you." Join us each week as we focus on what truly matters most in this life and passing those values on to the next generation. This is the Natural Parents Podcast with Ryan and Abby Hukin.
I wish I knew the exact stat. I don't. But for how many Americans are in debt, and how much of that is further than just their house and, we'll just say, student loans. I'll let that be a pass as well.
Yeah, that's funny, because I was thinking about honestly the same thing, and I don't know. I know it's a scary number, and I know it's probably updating consistently, and the stats are ever changing every year. But there's some wild statistics out there. The thing that where my brain went to when we started talking about this today was like the fact that our entire system, the system of the economics, really of the world, but especially here in the United States, is actually based on your credit worthiness. And your credit worthiness is really about how well are you at paying back debt. Like, if you stop and think about that just for a second, get outside of the box and be like, wait a minute, what? Like, all of who you are to a bank in this country is how well do you take debt and pay back that debt. The better you are, then the more we want to give you money to pay us debt back too, with interest. Like, it's such a weird and broken system to me when you really, like, I don't even know how to put it into words how weird I think it is.
I know, yeah, we're all just a number.
And I mean, I've played their game
for
I'm 33 now, but for 20 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever I started, get your first credit card, start paying things. We all are told, all this stuff. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. Can we talk about just for a second? Is this the only way to do this thing?
I know. And it doesn't even matter how much money you have, like how much actual cash that you have in your bank. It's just how well you are at paying it back. And I think that the whole world has just really given us this false, like, keep up with the Joneses, if you will, type of lifestyle for a credit card to even be needed.
Right.
If you really think about it, maybe our home loan, is the only thing that we should need a bank for. We shouldn't, for one, student loans, like, they're just outlandish. Like, they are just wildly expensive, some things. And, but also just the credit card need. What do you need a credit card for? If you're, it's but like only for these things that are, yes, an emergency fund, all of that. But if you're preparing for that and you're preparing, don't put the cart before the horse, then you can save up for certain things that you would need. A credit card just makes it really easy.
Right. Well, and I think I'm going to use the term they a lot today, they being the powers that be. I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of how all of the micro and macroeconomics of the world go around, but I do know that for a fact, our economy, which is a booming economy as the world standard goes, right? Like, people will say all the time, well, I'm not wealthy. Like, if you live in America, you are. Like, you might have first world poverty. That's real. You might be broke, which means you're over leveraged, as I like to say. But I do know this. I think the number is, it's like $30,000 or something like that. It's like $28,000 or $30,000. It's not an impressive number, but if you make more than that, then you are a top 1% earner in the world. And so that most of the world lives so far and below. I mean, we're talking dollars a week, like single digit dollars a week in American money. We have no idea what that world is like. Like we are so spoiled. And again, I don't want to be anti-American in the sentiment of like debt is not a great thing, but debt is not a great thing. I know it drives our economy. Why do you think they talk about the housing market and interest rates and all that kind of stuff? It's because that is the world that has permitted us to live in what is, by many standards, the greatest country that's ever existed in the world. I don't want to look that gift horse in the mouth. It's just alarming to me when you stop for a second and you realize, whoa, wait a minute. What game am I playing? Who's pulling these strings? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, if you really think about it, it's just the world that tells us that you need all of these things that are going on the credit card,
Sure.
right? And the credit card companies, they get you because they have benefits and they have cash back and they have all of this, which if you use them correctly,
They're great.
Sure. However, most of us are not, right? Most of us
The stats support that.
Yes. Like most of us are just using it for the seventh pair of gold earrings that a woman needs and all of this. And it's just an excess because we believe that our happiness will be achieved. We will feel rich once we have those items. And we really aren't going to, because that happiness comes within us. Like that is something that is already there. And a lot of times we are just searching for that to happen whenever we're out buying things that we don't need or buying duplicates. And then what happens is our houses are cluttered. And, there's this minimalist movement. And it really is supported because if you are practicing being a minimalist, it's because you're practicing being happy with what you already have, but also the clutter that more things bring only take your peace. And how many hours of the day or week are you spent organizing your belongings, right? And it's that instant gratification of buying something new, but then it's constantly, it's gone the next minute, 2 minutes. I think there's a stat for that too. I would love to see that because of a dopamine release
Sure.
that it does when you buy something.
It's like shopaholic.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes. And that's why the 24-hour rule is an idea of wait 24 hours before you buy something. Make sure that you're really wanting it and you're not just looking for that next dopamine.
Sleep on it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I looked it up. 46 to 47% of Americans carry debt on the credit card from month to month.
Wow.
And like I said, it's not, I think for the purposes of our discussion, and if you're listening to this, you might have that figured out. You might be in that situation. And I'm not sitting here saying that we have it all figured out, but it's just opening our eyes to the realization of, like, as you're saying, and the way I would say it is, Jesus promised us an abundant life. He says in John 10:10 that the thief comes only to steal, kill, or destroy, but I came and to have life and have it more abundantly. I think a lot of times we hear that in our Americanized ideologies to think, oh, it's like an abundance of wealth and materialism and all this stuff. And look, Jesus came so I could have more stuff. Like, again, if you say that out loud, you're like, that's definitely not what Jesus was talking about. But I think the true abundance comes in a freedom of actual surrendership to him being our Lord, and not us having to go and work to pay off all the debts that our society has told us that we have to be in. So that stat is really crazy if you think about it. That almost really half of Americans are carrying just credit card debt. The other stat, I know this number is north of 50% per a book that we've read, which is not extremely irrelevant here today in February, but come around Christmas time, the Advent Conspiracy book, that shares that 50% of Americans are in debt this coming Christmas from the previous Christmas. So they're still carrying debt from the gifts that they had to buy during the Christmas season because of what we're told, that we have to have more things to live this abundant life.
Yeah, and I think that it's a slippery slope because we feel like for our kids to have a magical Christmas, we have to buy them all of their hopes and dreams beyond, right? But then we are not setting them up for success in their future years because we're still paying on the debt at if it's a credit card, 28-30% interest.
Yeah, for sure.
So what does a Christmas present actually cost whenever you're doing that math?
Sure.
And, I think that we are thinking that the things that we have are what make us rich. And, the other day, you and I texted you because Jennings came up and he was like,
Oh gosh.
Mom, how did he say it? I got a gift and you're never going to guess what it is. And I said, what is it? Do you want to read it?
I'm going to find it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the other day, Jennings goes, hey, Mom, do you want to know the gift I got today? I said, let me think about it. And he said, you're never going to guess it. So let me just tell you. He said, I have the gift of a mom, the gift of a dad, the gift of this house, the gift of a belly that loves good for me food, the gift of my legs to run, and the gift of the earth to walk on.
How about that?
And it is just such a good reminder that richness in life is not material things. It is what you have and what you find contentment in. Whenever you can look around and you see your health that you have as a family, you see that you have a place to rest and to eat and good for you food. And when you start viewing things as the gift that they are, that's whenever you can find true happiness and stop searching for it in the next thing you're going to buy. And it just, when you think of the stat that you shared on how many Americans deal with debt, it makes so much sense why people like Dave Ramsey are such absolutists. They're like, he's like, no credit cards, cut them up. We are moving at the speed of cash, and because the discipline that comes from that allows you to really get out of debt. Because how many marriages have so much conflict over money? How many parents and spouses are so short with the ones that they love the most because they're actually scared about making the payment the next month, And I think oftentimes Americans, they look at, well, that car only costs $800 a month. I can afford $800 a month. But you shouldn't be looking at it like that. You need to be, if you have the opportunity, and I'm not saying that everybody's able to start out by saving up for their first car. Everybody starts somewhere. However, whenever you can save that money and then go pay cash for it, that burden, that financial burden isn't going to be as heavy.
It's gone, right?
Yes.
I think there's so many thoughts I was having as you were sharing that. The first one, the word you use, contentment, is I think key here, because I think we can be content in so many different situations. And I struggle with contentment, not in a sense of like, so much materialism as it is just like, I always feel like I have to be working harder or achieving the next thing or anything like that. And there's reason for that. But, Paul and everybody knows, I think it's Philippians 4:13, Paul says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I love that. And it's a great sticker and bumper sticker and wall graphic and stuff like that. Tattoo, no slight if you got the tattoo. I think it's a great Bible verse. It really is. But I love the key, and this is the one that people miss. The verse right before it, Paul is sitting in prison when he writes that. And he says, I found the secret to contentment, whether in much or in great need. In basically saying whether I'm rich or poor sitting in prison, I have found the secret to contentment. Pause. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So like if we would just reflect on our own contentment, like Jennings saying those things, like I'm just grateful for legs that work. Like what? Like that allow me to run on this earth, and do this. And it's just like, it's such an amazing, like they say all the time, like you're raising your kids, but your kids are also raising you. And it's such a beautiful reminder of that, because while again, we go through our own journey, we're in our own debt pay down journey right now. It's like, because we got caught up in the discontentment that I think is bred within the minds of every American in our society. And like, again, I'm not trying to go down a conspiracy theory or rabbit hole here. It's just, that's the fact. Like our economy, it relies on the amount of people that are in debt. And like the more of that, then the more the merry-go-round. That's the way my dad always used to describe it. It was like the merry-go-round of life. And it's like faster and faster. And you're just on for a little bit of a ride. And now you can't get off. And it's just crazy. And that's not what any of us really, truly want for our lives or for our children's lives. So it's almost like you have to peel the scales off your own eyes so that you can set your own family up for future success, which is a huge piece of the debt pay down journey, right?
Yeah, and it's humbling, of course, to do that. But whenever you have the chance to do that, you know that you're setting yourselves up for a more promising, less slave to the lender future, but then also your kids, and you're able to teach your kids through that as well. Did you know that we spend about a third of our lives in bed? That's over 8 hours a day that our body should be resting, healing, and restoring. But did you ever stop to think about what we're breathing in during that time? Most mattresses today are made with synthetic foams, flame retardants, and chemicals that release toxins into the air, especially while we sleep. That's why we made the switch to My Green Mattress, made with only clean, organic materials. There's no chemical smell, no off-gassing, just a pure supportive mattress that helps your body truly rest and recover the way it was designed to. As a family, that peace of mind is worth everything. If you want to create a healthier home from the inside out, go check out the link in our description. You'll see exactly why we love our green mattress and why we'll never go back. As parents, we love finding natural ways for our family to feel their best, and that is why we chose Llama. They make genuine Baltic amber jewelry for both kids and adults, known for its soothing and grounding properties. For little ones, it's a beautiful natural option to help with teething and inflammation, and for adults, it can help ease tension and bring a sense of calm throughout the day. Each piece is handcrafted from authentic Baltic amber. It's never plastic, never imitation, just simple, natural comfort that fits your lifestyle. Check out the link in our description to shop Llama, natural comfort for the whole family.
Well, I love it because you're talking about a few different things here, and I'm going to amplify them. But like the one that people bring up all the time, and I want to be careful to draw a good line here, is that people say all the time that the love of, well, actually what people will say is that money is the root of all evil. And I don't think either one of us agree with that, or do I think that's actually what the scripture says or reads. It says that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Mm-hmm. And so that delineation I think is important because you're starting to talk about, lordship. And I think, yes, we want to be financially well enough off to not have needs. So that comes in two ways. One is like, well, let me not worry, right? Because that's our favorite verse. It's the verse in the intro of the podcast is Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom of God and all of these things. What are these things? The stuff we worry about, clothes, food, house, all that stuff. Sure. It's like, don't worry about these things. God will take care of them. It says, look at the field and the lilies that, not even Solomon in all of his splendor was dressed as pretty as this. Like, God's going to take care of a field and dress it up. He's going to put some fine clothes on you too. Like the birds of the air, they're not running around worried about whether they're going to eat or not. There's food everywhere. Mm-hmm. We live in a very abundant world. Just look around. There's so much abundance. And I think we've just been trained to lose sight of that. But then two, again, is, okay, if you can get in right relationship with your money, you might be feeling suffocated by debt. You might be being short, as you described, with your friends, your family, your loved ones, because of the stress, that a financial burden of choices and decisions that we've made in the moment now are haunting us, right? Like we've lived in that. It's like, no, I've made the decision to be debt free. Like, I just want to be there. Yeah, no, it's like, no, now we've got to spend the next few years paying for this decision until we're ready to get out of it. But it's making that daily conscious choice to say, you know what, money, you're not my Lord. I'm going to get over you. I'm going to get on top of you. I'm going to get my finances in order in such a way, whatever the Lord has sought fit to bless me with, I'm going to steward really, really well. Because right now I might have the conviction that we're not stewarding it as best as we could, because everything that we have is a gift from God. And so if that, let's just say $5,000 a month total operating family budget, I don't know if that's what you're working with, you can work with that in this country. That's possible. Don't get me wrong. If it's less than that, if it's more than that, there's a way to work around that. It's a gift from God. Get on top of it, make the conscious decision, and then the daily decision not to go down the wrong rabbit hole where money and debt becomes your Lord. And you say, no, I'm over this. I control this. I control my spending. I control what we buy. And then one day you're debt free. And then look at the freedom that does come from that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think it's just a great place to think about, and, dreaming of the day that you can say that you're debt free, I think is so cool. And I see a lot that families struggle with, like grocery budgets, right? They're like, that is just where, oh my gosh, it's just all bets are off. I'm spending $2,000, $3,000 a month on groceries.
That's wild.
And there's this misconception that eating healthy or eating cleaner is going to cost way more.
Sure.
In a way, maybe it costs a tiny bit more, but also it doesn't have to. If you're very intentional about what you're making and what your family is eating, and I don't really know how to word it, but I always say, oh, like this is just because I love my future self. Like if you just
Oh, sure.
prep
Yeah.
some food extra for the freezer, or I love to make like double batches of the muffins that we make, different things, just because it doesn't come from a box doesn't mean that it's going to cost more. But also if you're just super intentional about like what snacks you're going to make for your family to eat and what dinner plans you guys are going to do every day of the week. And when there's a plan in place, you're not going to deviate from the plan and be like, actually, I know that meat is thought out for dinner, but let's get takeout instead.
Sure,
That's just
yeah.
not going to work.
Okay, so you're saying that, and I thought of, again, a scriptural construct here where Esau was so hungry, he was so famished, he allowed himself to sell his birthright to his brother for a cup of soup. And so I think we do this. You bring up grocery budgets, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna keep my meal plan. I got this all figured out. We're gonna stay on this structure, and then we're tempted by a feeling, a little bitty tiny rumble in our belly. And again, I'm not coming after y'all, but if we live in America and you have the ability to listen to this podcast right now because you're doing it on a phone or a computer, okay, you're not hungry.
Your belly's only rumbling because you ate 2 hours ago.
Right. You're not hungry. We don't know what hunger is. I was explaining this to our son the other day. He was complaining about something like putting his socks on or something like that. He's like, God's so hard. I'm like, bub, come on. I don't know. You don't know what hard is. I don't know what hard is. We live a very blessed and cush life. Mm-hmm. Like, and same thing goes for our hunger pains and the desires that we have to eat. So we'll make this, you see this all the time. People say, well, it's so expensive. And if we just allocated our eating out budgets as Americans to our grocery lists that then are going to be cleaner, going to be more nutrient dense, going to be better to serve our bodies. Or if you just skipped that meal, I promise you, short of like a diabetic situation, you know, you're right on the verge of collapse, like whatever, like if you're a relatively healthy American and you feel a hunger pain, you're not hungry. Like our kids will be like, oh, I'm starving. I'm sorry, I love you, but you're not starving, right? Like yes. There's so much that I think comes to this. And again, I'm not sitting here saying I get this right all the time, but like Esau was so, for just a bowl of soup, sold his entire birthright to his brother and said, I'm hungry, feed me. You can, like, he wasn't that hungry. Like, he could have gone and made his own soup and it would have taken him an hour and he'd have been good, right? And he's like, so I think we do this, and it's, yes, there's a food and a grocery budget teach here, but there's also oh my goodness, I have to have that thing right now. Mm-hmm. I've been on this kick lately because it keeps coming up in my life and different Bible studies I'm a part of and stuff, so I'll share it here too. But the world that we live in has three things to offer, and different ways, different versions will say the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And we think of these things through a different lens all the time, but lust of the eyes is a materialistic, and it can be sensual and sexual too. So like, hang with me here. But like, if you think about it, it's just like, I'm looking out there, there's something that I want and I have to have it, right? The flesh is the same way. Yes, could be sensual, could be sexual. That's the most, when people hear that word lust, another translation is desire, like desire of the eyes, desire of the flesh. It's just, I see that over there. I want it. I see that I want to eat. I want to feel this certain way. You know, that's what those two things are. And then the pride of life is like, that's the keeping up with the Joneses, right? Mm-hmm. In this conversation, it's like, look at me, look what I do. One of my favorite things, he's, you know, pretty, I guess, famous in the world of YouTube goes and for things like that. But Alex Hormozy had to teach on this one time, and he was hustling and building his business and all this kind of stuff. And he was like saying that he rolled up to some like red carpet event, and he had like a used Toyota Prius with dents and, you know, older car and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, man, I thought you were really good at business, and like, why are you driving that car? He's like, if you're curious about my business, look at my bank account, not my car. Like, what difference does it matter what car I drive, you know? And it's just, we do this, and we do this to each other, and we're all in the same rat race. And then we pretend through pride of life that we're not. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, in reality, 50% of Americans are carrying credit card debt from month to month. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is. It's just if we stopped caring what other people thought, because really it doesn't matter. People are going to think you're crazy if you do or if you don't. So if you just do what works best for your family, I feel like that's really where as long as it's obviously what you feel called to do, that's where that freedom comes from. And it doesn't matter what people think of you. It doesn't matter if you do something totally crazy that nobody would understand, because you have to do at the end of the day what serves your family and takes care of your family the best, because ain't nobody else worrying about the food on your table the way that you are. So that is why you just have to make sure that you are doing the absolute best for your family.
Totally. And again, I think it's one of those notions of this idea that 100 years from now, what's really truly going to matter? Like, is anybody going to be around on this earth that's here right now today to remember what car you drove or what kind of house you lived in, or et cetera, et cetera? Like, no, it's not. Like,
at your funeral, they're standing up reading your obituary and they're like, and she drove.
Yeah. Like, she sold her car that she had a payment on to buy one cash, but it was 10 years older.
Like I just remember that. Like,
gasp, right?
Also like, a mother of 3.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, she had a couple kids and some grandkids, right?
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's that's the kind of stuff that matters. And so I think if you look at it through that lens of what impact on my family and on the generations to come, on the things that, this has been a continual prayer in our house, is like, Lord, break our heart for the things that break yours. Like, I don't think Ryan driving a brand new truck is the thing that's breaking the Lord's heart or not. And so it's like, how, and again, y'all listen to this. There's no attack. There's no slight. There's only conviction, no condemnation. I say that probably every other podcast, but it's just like, I'm just sharing the convictions of my heart right now in case that y'all are looking for a sense of community or camaraderie, in the sense of like, yeah, we're feeling that same tug. Jesus says all the time, be in the world, not of the world. Like, of the world is consumerism debt. That doesn't feel good. I think that becomes our Lord, and we can't serve two masters. So how could we serve him with our finances? How can we steward what we have really, really well?
Yeah. And of course, I always feel the need to over explain or support, but it doesn't mean that we are saying if you have a brand new car, shame on you. None of that is, because that may work completely different for different families. And
your life is totally different than my life. And
yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yes. And I did read the other day in a book that it was talking about people who are in debt, and it said that a lot of times people are like, well, I'd be able to get out of debt if I just like made some more money, if I just made more. But then they literally looked at it and studied it, and the people who made more just spent more.
Yeah.
They didn't get out of debt faster. They didn't do anything like that. They just always were thinking that it was going to happen whenever they had the increase, that's why they were in debt. It's because they didn't have that increase, when in reality, it's our habits, and you just have to get ahead of the habits.
About 50% more, 30 to 50% more. I think people end up, it's like, if I just made X dollars a year, then I would be able to get ahead of it. Then I'd be, we talk about that all the time. It's the win-then parenting philosophy, the win-then aspects of life. Like, life's a journey. It's a joy along the ride. Like, don't get so caught up in getting to wherever your destination is. And that's, I think, truly a thief of your joy is you miss out on all the fun aspects of the road trip along the way, right? And last thing I was just thinking was the parable of the talents. We talk about everything in the sense that everything we have is a gift from God, right? And all we're asked to do with it is, in a way, if we believe in him and we believe that he gave us this gift, that we're supposed to get a return on that investment that he gave us. He gave all of us gifts, various different gifts for all of us. And so I think the thing that probably haunts me the most in my stewardship life is like thinking that he blessed us with 3 beautiful children. And while it's not up to me to decide for them whether or not they get to heaven, I think it's our job as parents to make sure that they at least presented with the opportunity to know who Jesus is. And so, like, again, whether it's our kids, whether it's our finances, our home, our businesses, like anything that we have been entrusted with in this world, in this life, God gave us that for a reason. And it's not obligatory. It's not like you have to do this to get into heaven. But for me, it's like, Jesus, I see what you did on the cross for me. And because of that amount of grace that you've showed me in my life, I want to do this for you, right? And I think that's the parable of the talents, is that we see this played out where the 5, the 2, and the 1 guy. So the parable goes that a master came, he gave his servants The first one 5, the next one 2, the next one 1. The 5 guy goes out immediately with the gifts that the master had given him and got a return. And then the 2 guy, he did the exact same thing. But the 1 guy, he was given a gift, and you might have one singular gift in your life. And if you really stopped and thought about it, you might think like, I don't have anything. I'm no good. Like those are whispers and lies of the enemy. But like you have some sort of a gift that God has entrusted you with. And I believe that you could get a great return on it for him if you go and invest it. Don't bury it. Don't close it out. Don't ignore the gift that God has given you. It could be financial. It could be, again, physical, spiritual, emotional, anything like that. So that's just my encouragement for anybody that's listening. You have a talent, and I believe that the Lord has entrusted you with that. Go invest it well.
From the bottom of our hearts, we want to say thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with someone you know and leave a review. By doing so, we're able to grow this community of amazing people just like you and raise a generation of children that know God and do His will on earth. We'll see you next time.
This is the Natural Parents Podcast with Ryan and Abby Hukin.